Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Jack puts pressure on Kane to make a wedding decision while Lily and Jill demand answers. Following pressure from Jack Abbott on Kane Ashby, Lily Winters, and Jill Abbott will demand answers. Let's talk about the highs and lows that Genoa City will experience when a wedding decision is also made. Kyle Abbott will decide that Claire Newman is worth fighting for after threatening Audra Charles and attempting to force her to leave town. Kyle will decide to take a plane to Los Angeles in order to win Claire's heart back before Holden Novak does. After retracing Mariah Copeland's steps at the hotel, Tessa Porter and Daniel Romalotti Jr. will provide Sharon Newman with some troubling updates as Nikki Newman attempts to patch things up with Jill. The media blast that Victor Newman is planning may be part of the shocking news that he will deliver to Jill next, according to YNR spoilers. After following orders and publishing the Colin Atkinson scandal that implicates Kane, Adam Newman and Chelsea Lawson will receive rewards. She'll be searching for more details once she's back with Nikki. Nikki might ask Victor about his plan of action against Kane, alternatively, she might raise concerns about Claire. In any case, Amelia Heinleigh's character Victoria Newman will soon arrive in Los Angeles and may decide to remain with Claire as her romantic life is engulfed in yet another round of drama. Jack will put pressure on Kane to act morally and cancel any evil plans he may have, particularly those that include attacking Jabot. While Lily and Jill press Kane for the full information, he will make a rogue move with Nick Newman. As Jill and Lily attempt to determine whether Kane truly used Colin's illicit funds to build his company, he will be grilled. Later on, Phyllis will also find herself in a problematic predicament. Someone like Nick or perhaps Lily might interrupt Phyllis and Kane's passionate moment if they combine business with pleasure. Lastly, a crucial decision that may impact their marriage will be made by Christine Blair and Danny Romalotti. According to teasers for The Young and the Restless, Danny and Christine will have some challenges as they get ready for their big day because it will be filled with unexpected turns. The tension in Genoa City continues to climb higher and higher as Jack Abbott takes it upon himself to corner Kane Ashby into making a final wedding decision, a move that has set off a domino effect of drama across town, pulling in Lily Winters, Jill Abbott, and a host of other characters who all have something to say about Kane's loyalties, business ethics, and secret motives. And while Jack's sharp words and unwavering determination to force Kane's hand come from his deep-rooted belief that Jabot and his family legacy are in danger of being dragged into another scandal that Kane cannot possibly control, Lily and Jill refuse to sit idly by, demanding answers of their own, insisting that Kane look them both in the eye and provide the kind of truth he has always tried to dance around. And this creates an emotional battlefield in which Kane is forced to decide not only the future of his marriage prospects but also whether his personal life can survive the exposure of Colin Atkinson's shadow still lingering over him, since Jill is relentless in her pursuit of uncovering whether Kane truly benefited from Colin's dirty dealings, and Lily is determined not to let her heart be broken again by a man who continues to weave webs of half-truths. Meanwhile, Kyle Abbott finds himself embroiled in his own romantic storm as he decides that Claire Newman is a woman worth fighting for, making the bold and perhaps reckless choice to threaten Audra Charles in an attempt to push her out of his orbit and ensure she no longer has the power to interfere in his future. And after a dramatic confrontation in which Kyle nearly crosses a line that could permanently damage his reputation, he instead channels his energy into hopping on a plane bound for Los Angeles, determined to track Claire down before Holden Novak cements his place in her life and wins the heart that Kyle refuses to give up on, creating a high-stakes love triangle that will stretch across state lines. And as Kyle embarks on this mission, Genoa City remains a boiling pot of secrets and schemes, with Tessa Porter and Daniel Romalotti Jr. retracing Mariah Copeland's mysterious steps at a hotel that may hold the key to a string of shocking revelations, discoveries that they will rush to Sharon Newman with, leaving Sharon troubled and unsettled as she processes what these clues could mean for her family, her business, and her role in the tangled web of Newman drama. And while Sharon grapples with these updates, Nikki Newman is busy attempting to patch things up with Jill Abbott, a surprising move that could change the balance of power between families and companies. especially as Victor Newman prepares to unleash a media blast that may expose yet another scandal tied to Kane and his checkered past, with spoilers teasing that Victor's bombshell could be aimed squarely at Jill, leaving her reeling as she scrambles to keep control of her family and her legacy intact. But Adam, Newman and Chelsea Lawson, who have dutifully followed Victor's orders by publishing the Colin Atkinson scandal in a way that implicates Kane directly, find themselves rewarded handsomely, setting them up for potential new opportunities and putting them back on the map in a way that may threaten everyone else's footing, though Chelsea, true to form, is never satisfied with surface-level victories and will immediately begin digging for more details once she reconnects with Nikki, eager to discover the next layer of Newman intrigue. And while Nikki weighs her loyalty to Victor, Lauren's rage, and Tessa's investigation will all converge in ways that ensure this Los Angeles arc is not merely a side trip but the centerpiece of the next great wave of storylines, with secrets rising, alliances shifting, and hearts breaking in ways that will keep viewers glued to their screens as the fates of Nick, Sharon, Victoria, Claire, Jill, Billy, Kyle, Audra, Tessa, Mariah, Daniel, Lauren, Michael, Jack, and Victor intertwine in a storm that will shake both Genoa City and Los Angeles to their cores, leaving fans to wonder not just who will win or lose in business but who will survive emotionally intact when loyalties are tested and love is pushed to its very limits. And just when it seems that the Newmans' Los Angeles escapade might settle into a simple reunion with Noah, the cracks in every carefully laid plan begin to spread wider than anyone expected, because Noah himself has secrets that he hasn't shared with his parents, secrets that could shake both Nick and Sharon to their core if exposed, since his time away has not been entirely as peaceful as he claimed. While he has been building his art career and finding love in new places, Noah has also found himself entangled in a series of business ventures that overlap with shady investors connected to Victor's own rivals, and if Nick learns his son has unknowingly tied himself to people Victor would consider enemies, the fallout could ignite not only father-son tension but a whole new corporate war that drags Sharon into dangerous waters she thought she'd left behind. Meanwhile, Claire's adventure with Holden begins to spiral the moment she steps foot into Los Angeles nightlife, because Holden's charm masks an edge that is less about fun and more about testing boundaries, and when he drags Claire into a high-stakes poker room in the hills, surrounded by men and women who play with more than just money, Claire quickly realizes she may be in far over her head. But before she can call for help, Victoria bursts in, having tracked her daughter's phone, and the confrontation that follows is explosive as Victoria rips Holden apart for manipulating her daughter while Claire insists she is not a child and can make her own decisions, a clash that threatens to unravel what fragile peace existed between mother and daughter since their reunion. But unbeknownst to both, someone else in that poker room recognizes Victoria Newman, not just as a high-profile CEO but as Victor's daughter, and begins plotting how to use the sudden overlap of the Newman family as leverage in a larger game against the patriarch himself. And across town, Jill Abbott begins to realize that her return may have been ill-timed, because though she wanted to reassert control and perhaps partner with Billy to keep Abbott communications strong, she is now caught in the crossfire of Jack and Victor's alliance, something she never thought she'd live to see, since these two men are using her as bait in their scheme to expose Kane Ashby. And while Jill has been known to play both sides when it suits her, this time she may find herself cornered, especially since Sally Spector's warning wasn't merely about Billy's proposal but about Audra Charles circling in the shadows, because Audra, tired of rejection by Nate, is hungry for both power and companionship, and Kyle Abbott is just vulnerable enough to slip, creating the perfect storm for an affair that will devastate Summer when she learns that her husband couldn't resist temptation. Though Kyle convinces himself it's only about distraction from his gnawing obsession with Claire, who he still doesn't trust in Los Angeles, especially now that Holden has entered the picture. But this obsession could cost Kyle dearly if Audra manipulates him into giving up corporate secrets in exchange for passion, which would be a betrayal that Jack, still trying to balance his alliance with Victor, will not forgive, especially since he already suspects Audra has ambitions too big for her own good. Meanwhile, Lauren Fenmore Baldwin's rage has not cooled, and though Michael believes saving a business deal might restore their marriage, Lauren is contemplating a more permanent separation, leaning on friends like Phyllis for advice. But Phyllis, ever the instigator, encourages Lauren to consider what life might be like without Michael altogether, planting dangerous seeds that could blossom into divorce papers if Michael doesn't change. while on another front, Tessa and Daniel's investigation into Mariah's dark confession grows more tangled, because as they retrace her steps they uncover evidence that suggests someone else may have framed Mariah all those years ago, meaning the alleged attempted murder might not only be a misunderstanding but part of a bigger cover-up, and when they stumble upon a hidden recording from that night, it suggests Michael Swan may not have been the innocent victim everyone thought he was, raising the terrifying possibility that Mariah was targeted, not the other way around, a discovery that could send shockwaves through her already fragile relationship with Tessa, because if someone has been lying for years, the truth will not only threaten to ruin Mariah's trust but may put both women in immediate danger, as whoever buried that evidence surely won't want it unearthed. And while all of this brews, Sharon and Nick's presence in Los Angeles stirs up memories between them, because every shared glance reminds them of their decades-long history, the loves, the losses, the betrayals, and the undeniable bond that never seems to fade, and though both try to brush aside their feelings for the sake of seeing Noah, the city itself becomes a catalyst for old sparks reigniting, especially when Sharon confides in Nick her fears about Claire, recalling her own troubled teenage years and wondering if history has a cruel way of repeating itself, a vulnerable admission that pulls Nick closer even as he knows Victoria wouldn't approve, yet he can't deny the warmth that still exists with Sharon. But before any of them can deal with these emotional entanglements, a shocking twist rocks them all when Noah introduces his girlfriend to the family, and it turns out to be someone tied to Holden's world, intertwining the two storylines in ways nobody. The tension between Kane and Phyllis simmers dangerously as they circle each other in both business and personal matters, and although Phyllis has no shortage of complications in her own life, Kane's charm and desperation create a combustible mix that threatens to pull her into yet another scandal, because the two of them share an undeniable chemistry that flares in their private interactions, and the possibility of them crossing the line looms larger every day, especially since Phyllis feels undervalued and unappreciated by those around her, leaving her vulnerable to the temptation of Kane's attention, yet the risk is monumental, for if Nick or Lily were to walk in on even a hint of intimacy between them, the fallout would be catastrophic, leading to public humiliation, broken relationships, and potentially the destruction of Kane's last ties to legitimacy in Genoa City. At the same time, Christine Blair and Danny Romolotti face mounting challenges as they prepare for their big day, challenges that test the foundation of their relationship and force them to confront old wounds that were never fully healed, because as they make wedding arrangements, outside forces conspire to throw obstacles in their path, from unexpected guests dredging up painful memories to unresolved conflicts about the direction of their future, and Christine finds herself questioning whether Danny's past choices have truly been reconciled with his present intentions, while Danny wonders whether Christine's lingering doubts mean that their love story is destined to unravel once again, and as teasers suggest, their wedding will be filled with dramatic twists that no one saw coming, ensuring that what should have been a day of joy will instead be remembered as another turning point in Genoa City history. The intertwining storylines weave together into a tapestry of betrayal, redemption, and shifting loyalties, with Jack continuing his crusade against Kane, Lily and Jill refusing to let the truth stay buried, Kyle risking everything in Los Angeles, Sharon and Nikki navigating dangerous family waters, Victor pulling the strings of media manipulation, Adam and Chelsea playing with fire, Phyllis on the verge of another scandal, and Christine and Danny facing wedding chaos, all of which culminates in a sense that Genoa City is perched on the edge of a precipice, waiting for the next shove that will send everything crashing down, and fans can only brace themselves for the storm of revelations, confrontations, and heartbreaks that are sure to follow, because if there is one thing The Young and the Restless always guarantees, it is that no secret stays buried forever, no alliance lasts without strain, and no heart remains unbroken when the full force of truth finally comes to light. The weight of Jack Abbott's pressure on Kane Ashby does not ease as days pass in Genoa City, it only intensifies, expanding like a storm cloud that darkens every corner of Kane's personal and professional life, and the relentless pace at which Jack drives his interrogation leaves Kane running out of excuses, because Jack is not simply issuing demands, he is orchestrating a campaign of accountability, roping in every possible ally to ensure Kane cannot wriggle free, which forces Kane to confront Lily Winters in a raw and brutally honest exchange that lays bare every insecurity, every doubt, and every wound that has scarred their relationship over the years, and Lily, though hurt, is unwavering as she insists on hearing the full truth about Colin's money, his shadowy influence, and whether Kane knowingly profited from corruption that could destroy both their reputations, while Jabot amplifies the pressure by demanding not only transparency but restitution, threatening to sever her support and distance herself permanently if Kane cannot clear his name, and Kane, sensing the walls closing in, decides to double down on his risky alliance with Newman, whose discontent with Victor's manipulative tactics leaves him open to Kane's proposal of striking out on their own, a shocking collaboration that has the potential to shift the balance of power in Genoa City if it survives the scrutiny of their families. At the same time, Kyle Abbott's desperate chase for Claire Newman in Los Angeles unfolds with cinematic intensity, because Kyle, boarding the plane with determination written across his face, envisions this trip not just as a fight for love but as a reclamation of his identity, and yet the obstacles awaiting him are far more treacherous than he anticipated, since Holden Novak, ever the smooth operator, has already tightened his grip on Claire's heart with carefully calculated gestures that appeal to her longing for stability and affection, and Claire, caught between Holden's promises and Kyle's passionate declarations, finds herself spiraling into confusion, especially when her mother Victoria Newman arrives in Los Angeles and stirs the pot with her own pointed questions about Holden's motives, setting off a chain of emotional confrontations in which Kyle is forced to prove not just the sincerity of his feelings but the strength of his character, and the stakes are heightened when Audra Charles, furious that Kyle has turned his back on her and left Genoa City for Claire, considers following him to LA to sabotage his chances, threatening to spark an even more volatile confrontation that could derail everything. Meanwhile, Sharon Newman grapples with the troubling updates brought to her by Tessa Porter and Daniel Romalotti Jr., who retraced Mariah Copeland's puzzling steps at the hotel and uncovered evidence that suggests Mariah's movements were not her own, but part of a larger plan orchestrated by someone determined to manipulate her, which leaves Sharon consumed by dread, because history has taught her that when her family is targeted, the attacks are rarely random and almost always devastating, and Nikki Newman, sensing Sharon's vulnerability, tries to extend an olive branch, though her own motives are complicated, since Nikki is simultaneously working to patch things up with Jill Abbott and gather intel that she can deliver back to Victor, who remains laser-focused on his media blitz designed to ruin Kane once and for all, and this creates a tangled web in which alliances shift like sand underfoot, because while Jill appreciates Nikki's attempt at reconciliation, she also resents being seen as a pawn in Victor's larger game, sparking another round of fiery exchanges that leave both women fuming yet grudgingly respectful of each other's resilience. Victor Newman, of course, operates like a chess master, carefully plotting every move of his media campaign to ensure that the Colin Atkinson scandal not only destroys Kane's credibility but also positions Victor as the ultimate arbiter of justice, and Adam Newman and Chelsea Lawson, having followed Victor's orders to the letter by publishing the story, now bask in the glow of their temporary rewards.